Welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski. I am the owner of Milestone Franchising, and I'm a certified franchise consultant representing hundreds of concepts. And Franchise Focus is all about shining a spotlight on people that are in the franchise industry. And today I'm really excited to have with me via Zoom Jennifer McWilliams, who is the founder of Ivybrook Academy, which is one of those concepts that I do represent. Welcome, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you for having me, Lisa.
Well, I know this week has been crazy for you. It seems like every time I talk to you, you are opening up yet another location. So congratulations on opening up your latest location in Texas. And Jennifer, can you please tell the audience, we're going to get into what Ivybrook Academy is all about, but can you tell us about your background a little bit, and then we'll talk about how you got into franchising?
Yes, absolutely. So I have wanted to be a teacher since I was in preschool. That is all I have ever wanted to do. I went to school for elementary ed, early childhood education, and I was a first grade teacher in the public school system. And what I just found was that children's needs weren't being met in that public sector. Everybody was treated as one person instead of unique individuals. And so I left public teaching to open up Ivybrook Academy.
And there was a plane, a napkin, and an idea, Jennifer. Talk to me about that.
Yes, there was. Like I said previously, all I've ever wanted to do was teach. And I think when you see children that aren't being able to reach their fullest potential, sitting behind desks and doing worksheets, that kind of tugs at your heartstrings. And so I kept sharing this with my then fiance. And on our honeymoon coming home, he told me to do something about it. And so we got one of those cocktail napkins that they gave you on drinks and airplanes. And we sketched what a perfect school would be. What would that ideal learning environment look like? And I'm happy to say 18 years of marriage later, my husband is still with me. He supports me in that business, and I can't do it without him.
And you're in great company, because J.K. Rowling famously wrote all of her ideas on napkins when she was a waitress, I think. And here you are coming back from your honeymoon, diagramming and sketching this out. And here you are, very successful owners of multiple Ivybrook Academies that are spreading across the country. So Ivybrook Academy is in a $54 billion industry. What sets you apart? There's a lot out there for preschool, or some may say there's not enough, right? There needs to be even more, and you're filling that need. What sets Ivybrook apart from the competition?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think there's two unique factors that make us an ideal learning environment for children. I think the first one is our curriculum. We customize our curriculum for our students by interweaving two approaches, one taken from Montessori and the other one taken from Reggio Emilia, Italy. The second large discriminating factor between us and other programs in the industry is we're strictly a half-day preschool program. So we do not provide any full-day child care at our schools. So we offer morning sessions, and then our children go home, or we have a group that comes in the afternoon for learning. So our time is solely focused on learning and socialization, in contrast to strictly childcare.
And what year, Jennifer, did Ivybrook open up its first doors?
Lisa, it's terrible to say that I don't remember, but I do not remember. I'm so sorry.
Look how your mind just sits there and fills with other things. I don't blame you. You've been, again, on a whirlwind, but you're in North Carolina, and your flagship corporate location was in North Carolina, correct?
Correct. That is still our corporate location. Okay. And we actually expanded that facility. So now it still houses the original preschool, but it also has a expanded training facility at that location where we bring in school owners across the country for learning.
Oh, to do the training. Oh, fantastic. And what is your role? You had mentioned about your then fiance, now 18 years later, husband Drew. Drew is very active in Ivybrook Academy, as are you. So what are both of your roles as the creators of this concept and now franchising across the country?
Yes, I couldn't do it without him. He is my right-hand man. And how we stay very happily married 18 years later by working with your spouse is we have very distinct lanes, which we each stay in. He handles a lot of the business management as well as the real estate selections for our schools. And then I do the day-to-day school operations, the curriculum, the educational components. And so we stay in our parallel lanes, both equally important, and it works very well. Like I said, still married 18 years later.
And Drew had, before all of this, a very significant role in real estate. And so putting this together, because one of the most critical pieces, as we know, for any business is location, 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 right? You don't have a good location, you're going to be, in some trouble. And one of the beauties of franchising is that the franchisor, does site selection with, the franchisee and helps to mitigate any issues with, making sure that you're getting this proper location. So the fact that Drew, previous to this, had this, really strong real estate background and now is assisting on this side of the Zor side, that's got to be such a benefit and such a relief to your prospective owners, I would assume.
Absolutely. It's vital. And actually, Liz, it is so vital that what we found is that was a huge pain point for a lot of small businesses and franchises in the startup phase. And so he actually consults and has an additional company called FRP, where he is working with some other franchises to assist them because he has been so successful doing it for Ivybrook.
Fantastic. And yeah, I knew that, but I couldn't remember what the name of the company is. And it's just such it's an integral part of the franchising process. And again, it could make or break someone in their business. So when you're looking for a location, and I know this isn't your wheelhouse, but I'm sure you're aware, what is it that you're looking for? When you're looking and you're carving out your areas for your prospective owners, what are some of the things that you're always looking for?
Great question. So we look primarily for demographics and student count. Children under the age of 5 is what we focus on, as well as that high demographics, because the majority of our families are stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads, or families that have nannies with or grandparents that watch their children. And the reason that we do this is because our program is designed for that model. There are families that want just that educational component in contrast to full-day childcare.
Right. Right. Okay. So yeah, you've got to key in on that specific demographic, make sure that there's enough so that you can bring in and have plenty of people to choose from for filling up your preschool. How many children are in a class at a given time?
Great question. It varies based upon age. So for instance, like in a 2-year-old class, our ratio is 1 to 6, whereas our pre-kindergarten or our transitional kindergarten, which accommodates children that are 4 or 5, has 1 to 10 with a max of 20 children.
Wow. And I know that's something that as a parent, when my children were young, that was something I was always really looking for, because you don't want it to be this overwhelming number that the teacher or the aide or the person that's also the helper is trying, and they can't get to the other kids, and and they're young, they don't have the understanding of well, just wait a minute, and you want to be able to be with them and help them with whatever it is that comes up. So how many staff members does it take to run an Ivybrook Academy successfully?
Great question. I think that's the other beauty of the model, because we offer just morning and afternoon. So our staff is very small and intimate. There's 15 educators at one particular campus. And they're able to work alongside co-teachers, like you were mentioning. Having those small classes, then they're able to customize curriculum for children, which is fabulous and ideal because every child is so unique. And that way they can really meet their needs where they are and move them forward.
Yeah. It's amazing how much preschool has changed just since the time that my children were young. And I'm sure you've seen the exact same thing that, even in kindergarten, they've done away with naps, in my school district, and they have to have so many sight words, and it's serious business today. Like you can't, it's gone are the days where you just go to a preschool just to, go have fun and run around and, and that's it. Like there's got to be some sort of educational component. And so you're filling that. So speaking of your whirlwind and you just opening up your latest location, how many locations do you have up and running right now across the country?
Yeah, we have 28 campuses that are open and running and 32 that are currently under development and in the process of opening.
Okay. And 32. And how many of those, do you have any idea how many of those will be up and running before the end of the year?
So we have one more that will be scheduled to open before December. And then the following year, there will be 12 more of those that will be in the pipeline to open.
So you are not slowing down anytime soon. And do you go to every grand opening that happens?
Yes, so that is something that I'm very particular about. It's important to me that I am at every single school setup. So I have been and I will be there. My husband comes with me to some as well, but I am at every single one helping our school owners set up their campus. So it reflects our philosophy and is truly ready for students that opening day.
And because the school year has already started, clearly we're in the end of October, how does that work for, let's say, a campus that's opening next month? Are you already helping or assisting in some way to make sure that there's already kids in the seats before that grand opening takes place?
Correct. We do something called pre-enrollment. So we have students that pre-enroll leading up to their grand opening. Absolutely. That's important to set them up for success. Also, our school owners are very passionate about getting connected into the communities. So they're in the communities making those connections and having families pre-enroll prior to that opening day.
And do you have any kind of numbers with regard to retention for, how many kids are staying? Because you go all the way up until the time that the child is going to be going on to kindergarten. What kind of retention rates are you looking at?
Batting almost 100. And actually that is the reason, Lisa, that we decided to franchise, believe it or not. So what happened to begin with is when my husband and I developed this company on a napkin, we thought it was just going to be a singular school in Charlotte, North Carolina. We didn't think that it would expand anything else. And little did I know that God had plans for us that were bigger than my husband and myself. And what has transpired is that families, they come into your doors and they become your family. I mean, you become intimately connected with them. I mean, they're sharing one of their most precious things with you, their child. And so the only reasons that they leave us across campus is typically when there's a job relocation. And so what was happening is families were relocating across the country and they would call me up and they would say, Jennifer, where's my Ivybrook? I can't find this curriculum and I can't find my people. Where you need to move to, blank state. And for the longest time, I would just, smile and thank them and then just say that I'm so sorry, but we don't have an Ivybrook there, and try to do my best to find a program that was complementary to ours. And this kept happening and happening. And finally, I kept coming home to Drew and saying, we need to change this because all children deserve quality education, just not children in Charlotte. And so it was because of that we decided to embark upon franchising.
Excellent. Well, that is a terrific place for us to stop. And then we're going to pick up on the other side. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor, Zoom One Media. Stay tuned.
Aloha! Joe Silva here with Kukua Technologies. I'm excited to see you on Tuesdays on Morning Coffee for our tech tips.
Let's face it, lawyers get a bad rap. I'm Erin Brucey, host of Legal Breakdown, where we dissect legal topics for the everyday viewer, with a mix of interesting guests to talk about current events and hot legal topics. Let's work together to make the law accessible and relevant to everyone. Catch us every week on RVN Television.
Welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski, and I have Jennifer McWilliams, who is the founder of Ivybrook Academy, with me today. And Jennifer, we were talking about the fact that, you've been in franchising, give or take 4 or 5 years now. You've got close to 30 locations up and running, which begs the question, who makes a really good owner for your concept? Have you identified a specific type of candidate that when they come down your pipeline, you're like, this is the person that we're looking for?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is one of the vital things in our success is our school owners across our company that we have brought into the system. Every single successful school owner is passionate about making a difference in their community. They believe to their core in quality education and making that difference. And I think that, coupled with a drive and a determination to be an entrepreneur, makes the perfect school owner.
Are you finding people like yourself that were educators coming into this and becoming owners?
Yes. So I would say it's split. I would say that half of the people have an education background coming into Ivybrook. And then the others, like I said, just have that in their gut, their desire for quality. They're almost all parents. We have a lot of families also that have adopted children. And so they have a love of children. And a lot of school owners have been looking for programs like this for their own children and haven't found that and recognize the importance. And then in those instances where a school owner doesn't have that education background, we assist them in finding a good administrator for them to assist in the day-to-day operations of the school.
Is there an area of the country that you're really focusing in on for your growth for 2023? Or it doesn't matter wherever they come from, it's fine with you guys?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, because I think that's where we're a little different than some other companies. Ivybrook really isn't about numbers and how many schools and where do we place them. We're primarily about people, children, and relationships. And so what we really do is look at the individuals. We want to make sure that we have the right school owner in place, because what we're doing is so important. This is more important than, making a salad for somebody or a sandwich. This is truly, you are investing in the lives of children. And so for us, we look at the individual first, and we make sure that we have a good fit with a franchise candidate And then once we feel we have a good fit, then we dive into those demographics around the area of which they live, student population, the kid count, and then we determine if it's a good fit on both ends. And then we move forward.
And I get asked all of the time, you know, Lisa, I've got this business and I think I want to franchise it. And, you know, can you talk to me about that? And I talk to people about that literally at least once a week. You talked about when you had your aha moment for when you realized that Ivybrook was something that could be replicated across the country. What have been some of the other aspects of franchising, good, bad, and ugly, that you've come across in this process of trying to, you know, make this happen and get it up and running across the country?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, that's an easy one, Lisa. Ivybrook Academy is not Jennifer and Drew McWilliams. It never has been. Ivybrook Academy is this amazing team of people that stand alongside of me. My franchise support team is the best in the country. These women are brilliant. They work around the clock. And they are so vested in the lives of their school owners, the schools that which they support, that is a huge reason why our company is successful as well. I could not do what I do without them. And I think unless you have your tribe and your people that are helping you all pull the rope kind of in the same direction, I think that's a vital key to the success of a brand.
Okay. And, you know, franchise focus, we tend to lift up a little bit, lift up the rock a little bit and shine a light under and get a little bit real. So tell me about your biggest learning curve that's hit you in this franchising process so far, and what was it and how did you overcome it, Jennifer?
Oh, yes. Lisa, I'm still learning every single day. So
Good
there
answer.
have been a lot of learning moments for me. I think one of the things is when I mentioned my team. So I have a lady by the name of Kat and Daniela. They have been with me for our company has been open for 18 years. They started as educators. So we all eat, sleep, and breathe Ivybrook. And so I think one of the biggest learning challenges was taking what we knew innately in our heads. We just did it. It just happened. We just knew what to do. And taking that information and making it in small, manageable chunks for somebody coming aboard Ivybrook from the beginning. How do we put those into operations manuals that are easy to understand and to digest? How do we put that into trainings also? And then as we expand it across the country, how can we do trainings for people that don't live necessarily in Charlotte? And what does that look like? And then what we've done is we've brought additional people onto that franchise support team because that was such, initially out of the gate, a challenge. We have Amy and Jessica and Liz, and what they have done is they have also walked alongside of me and worked at taking those trainings and making them attainable, and also they consistently evolve based upon the needs of our school owners. So we're able to not only meet the students' needs that we serve, but also the school owners' needs that we serve, because all our school owners are unique, just like our students.
Right. Yeah, it's a very complicated, complex process with a lot of moving parts that are continuously evolving. But has there been one that was just really a gut punch to you that you look back and you go, okay, I got through that and it's made us even that much stronger?
I think the most challenging thing that we've had to navigate would be recently the COVID pandemic. I think that was the largest and most challenging situation because it was nothing that you could prepare for. It was nothing that we've ever experienced to have a reference point of how do you get through this. And so as a leader, we are navigating this, and we're not only navigating it for our corporate location, but we're navigating it for schools around the country. And so initially, there was a lot of those brainstorming meetings of, what are we going to do? What is this going to look like? How are we going to keep children safe? And I'm pleased to say now, looking at it from the other side, it has made us stronger. We put in policies into place, and we added private kindergartens now that we have at some schools across the country. So what initially was, yes, a gut punch, Lisa. You know, we had to close for a little. We had to pivot to distance learning. It turned out really to make us a stronger company. And then also, I feel like in our communities, families realized even more how important quality education was for them and for their children.
Yes, because right now the state scores are coming across across the country. All the reporting is all coming out, and it's on the nightly news about how much the pandemic was very crushing for the educational system. And so starting from that young base when you're really little in that preschool, and how much that is so important, and then it builds upon itself, and then it makes that child that much more of a confident learner when they go and step into their elementary ed and then beyond. It all is just a layer upon a layer upon a layer. And yes, I have no doubt that the pandemic, especially because you're such a young franchise, that had to have been just incredibly daunting. But look, here you are. It's several years past now, knock wood, and you're standing and still moving, and you've not slowed down. Like, from everything I've seen on my end, like, you guys have not slowed down. I'm sure it slowed down your overall picture possibly, but you're still moving right along and doing what it was that you had sketched out all those many years ago. So congrats on that. Jennifer, is there any other types of words that you can give to the audience about looking at Ivybrook Academy as a concept that they're considering, and why they should consider it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I say to people that your head and your heart have to align. That the numbers need to make sense, your FDD has to make sense, but your heart has to be in this business, because this business is about relationships primarily. And truly, we are doing some of the most important work at our schools, because it involves these amazing young citizens of our country that we have. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. So I think someone that is passionate and vested in children and wants to make that difference, with the benefit of owning their own business and being their own boss, would be an ideal candidate.
Wonderful. And kudos to you. I know that you were just named the top 50 female franchisors. So congratulations on that to you, Jennifer. Wishing you and Drew much continued success as you continue along. And hopefully one day I'll have a candidate that I will be sharing with you for Ivybrook Academy. In the meantime, you can reach out to Jennifer. Here is her contact information. Thank you for joining us, Jennifer. And this is Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski, and you can learn more about me at my website, milestonefranchising.com. And Franchise Focus airs every week on Fridays at 12 o'clock p.m. Thanks for watching.